Hi, I'm Aeon. On this video, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to more Geometry Dash. Today, I thought I was going to give you guys my ranked top 75 hardest extreme demons in Geometry Dash. What I'm doing is basically just talking about them from worst to best, about the decoration and song and all that stuff. I'm going to try and leave gameplay out of this because there are levels that I think look really good, but I don't think play very well. So this is mostly almost 100% just decoration. There's going to be some bias naturally. These are opinions after all. But before we do start, I do want to preface these are opinions. Don't get ruffled if you do not agree with it. If your favorite level is like at number 70 or whatever, don't fret. My opinions are known to be garbage anyway. And if you're watching this in the future and something is placed in the top 75 that isn't on this list, screw you. Also, I do want to preface that I did get this idea from another person. I got this idea from a guy named Wavix. I do know that I've done this with the top 20 before. 20, 25, probably 25. I don't remember. So it's not like this is a completely unoriginal idea, and it is not something I've never done before. But I do want to preface that this is an idea that I got from Wavix. I watched this video and I thought it was pretty fun, so I wanted to do it myself. So here we are. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump into it. Let's go! Starting at number 75, we have Sonic Wave. I don't think anyone is surprised by this. If you do know me, you do know that I dislike Sonic Wave. It's just Nice Circles reskin, and it's very uninspired, and it's very bad. Number 74 is Thinking Space. It's just a 2.0 level, and I guess it has some charm. I do see why people do like it. I just don't. Number 73 is Sonic Wave Infinity. It is a corporate mass production of an already bad level. I don't really think I have to elaborate more. It's not very good. Number 72 is Tartarus. I just think it's very forgettable. It's just a healthy level that doesn't really do anything special, and I just kind of forget that it exists until I look at the top 10. Number 71 is Hyperparacosm. It's just another Nice Circles reskin, but unlike Sonic Wave, I do think that at least the color's a little nicer. It doesn't really do anything new though. I find it pretty boring. Number 70 is Silent Club. Okay, so hear me out. I do like this level. I think Silent Club is really cool, but it doesn't look good. I can't put it any higher on this list in good faith because I did say that this is going to be based on decoration and not just me liking the level for no apparent reason, and I like it for no other reason than I think it's funny, and the decoration is garbage. I can't really put it any higher, sorry. Number funny is Descent into Exile. I just don't think it's that good. If you watch my top 25 ranking, I just didn't like it, and the more I watch it, the more I dislike it. It's one of those levels that doesn't grow on me. There are levels that have grown on me quite significantly that are higher on this list that you would think I dislike, but this one just, I don't know, I just don't like it. It takes itself too seriously. It screams die at you and it's kind of cringe. Number 68 is Edge of the Blade. Stylistically, I think it's way too messy. I don't know, it just doesn't have any form of cohesion. It's all over the place in terms of like style. At least like Korean mega collabs have some form of charm to it. Edge of the Blade just doesn't. Number 67 is Sonic Wave Rebirth. It has some good effects. I will admit, I do think some of the effects actually do look really nice, and the last cube before the last wave looks kind of sick. The reason why it's not any higher is because it's another Sonic Wave. Do I have to say anything else? Not really. Number 66 is Sakupin Circles. Get it? That's the fun. It's the funniest. The Sakupins is the SC66P. That's the only reason why I put it SC66. I thought it would be funny. I think some of the effects are well done. I think the particle effect that it does is pretty neat, but it's just another 9 Circles level. Number 65 is Crimson Planet. Crimson Planet kind of like reminds me of a PS2 level. It looks kind of muddy. It's like weirdly saturated and just, I don't know. I don't like it. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is about it that I don't like. I just think it's ugly. Number 64 is Spatial Rent. I think it has charm. Part of the reason why I think it has charm was because I was asked to verify it. I didn't, spoiler alert. But yeah, it really doesn't have any cohesion. Some of the parts are like super over decorated, and some of the parts look like they were made with like 27 objects. So it has such a wide quality that I can't really say anything positive about it, really. Number 63 is Kinos. I should have put Kinos at 64. That would have been funnier. Anyway, other than the verification, I think this level is painfully forgettable. There's nothing about it. Like the level itself, I don't recall any of the parts really. The only like memorable part is the 70 wave, and the 70 wave looks ugly as hell, so it's just not good. Number 62 goes to Calculator Core, which I just find boring. I'm not a huge fan of grayscale levels, and the fact that it's grayscale for like 17 minutes kind of, I don't know, just kind of not that interesting. It's a level that if I would have played it myself, I don't think I would have made it very far because I just would have gotten bored. I don't really get bored by levels, but Calc Core just seems like a level I would get bored with. I don't know why. It's probably because it's like 20 minutes long. Number 61 is Akashic Records. I just don't think there's anything special about it. It's kind of boring. If you didn't notice, a lot of the levels recently have just been, I don't know, I think it's boring. And that's kind of like the issue with like this region. I'm going to point out when we're out of this region. Before now, it's just a lot of boring. Number 60 is Asterios. I think visually, the duels do look really cool. And by visually, I think the duels look cool. I mean, like, the gameplay looks really satisfying to watch. That's the only positive I can pull out, though. The visuals are actually really tame and kind of boring. But I think the duels are cool to watch in like layout form. Number 59 is Cognition. I know this is gonna ruffle some feathers. I think the claustrophobic feeling it creates is kind of cool. I will admit that's like the positive that I can pull out from it. However, on the visual side, it has nothing really going for it in my opinion. The song is cool. I like the song. The song is one of those, aha, yes, it's not Geometry Dash music, that's for sure. And that's something that people like, including myself. I do kind of appreciate it. Number 58 is the Golden. This is one of the first levels that I have like a lot to say about, honestly. And I think the reason why I have it so low is because I think it fails as a remake first and foremost. And I will always think that if a level tries to be a remake, however, it fails as said a remake when trying to be one, it also fails as a level altogether. So while the Golden isn't necessarily a terrible level, the fact that it does go on the premise of being a remake of El Dorado by Anubis, and it entirely fails that and doesn't really encapsulate what it is and what it tries to be, I just think the level as a whole falls apart. Number 57 is Deimos. I kind of just like Phobos, therefore I have like this funny appreciation for Deimos. I think overall it's just an okay level. It's nothing terrible, it's just okay. However, I will say that Boldstep is a weirdly good creator. Boldstep surprised with this one. Number 56 is our former top one, Tartarus. And I personally don't really get caught in the 1.9 nostalgia because I didn't really play actively in 1.9. So for me, it's just an okay level. It's nothing amazing, it's just okay. It does encapsulate 1.9 fairly well, and I appreciate it for that. However, I don't really have that form of nostalgia for it, therefore I just think it's fine. There's nothing spectacular. This is around the range where I think levels start getting okay. I don't really mind them. I don't think they're boring, I just think they're okay, right? Number 55, and please don't kill me, DDM, it is Ragnarok. I think some of the parts do look sick, but there are also some really muddy parts that I really dislike. So overall, as a full level, I think it's okay. It has some good parts, it has some bad parts. It's okay. Number 54 is Arctic Lights. This is barely a 9 circles level, but it tries to be one, and I don't think it does a good job at it. It's not a terrible level, I just think it's not good. As a 9 circles level, it's pretty decent, but that's because it's barely a 9 circles level, you know? So therefore, it's just a decent level. Number 53 is Aronia. I actually think the colors in this are really cool. I do like the color choice that it uses, and I do like the song. It's satisfying to watch, but overall, I think the level is pretty lacking. It's very, like, it's very safe, if I could say that, right? Number 52 is Vasuretta, and I'm going to be exiled out of the community for this one. I think it's a little bit too bright. I don't really like it that much. The song is very somber and is just a super bright, oversaturated level. It's not terrible. I just don't like it that much. I do like the flowers in it though. The flower decoration is pretty cool, but that's pretty much the only thing it has going for it, in my opinion. Number 51 is Aquatic Auroras. I personally think that this does some cool things like the crystals and the fog at the end of the level. I think are really cool. It's a little bit too dark to be a 9 circles level though. It doesn't really have that flashbang effect that 9 circles levels have come to be known for. So I guess it tries something new. Barely a 9 circles level, but some of the decoration that it does do is really cool, and I do actually have an appreciation for it. Number 50 is Infinite Inequity, and I think this is just a bog standard average level. I have very little to say about it. It's just average. Number 49 is Necromancer. A lot of people would probably be surprised to see this just second half because people just assume that I really like Necromancer. I don't. I think Necromancer is just a very average level. While I think objectively it does suck, I think it has this cute, funny charm to it. Like, it knows that it's bad because the people who made it knows that Necropolis is terrible, and the level just doesn't care that it's terrible. It just kind of like nails in the terrible of it, and I think that's I appreciate it for what it does, even though the level's kind of poop. Number 48 is Fragile. I think it's kind of an unnecessary level. It doesn't look bad. I don't think it's a terrible level. I just find it uninspired, honestly. It's just Vasuretta, but a little bit longer. I have nothing else to say. I just find it uninspired. It's not terrible, just not for me, I suppose. Number 47 is Lucid Nightmares. I actually don't think it's too bad. I think the very end of it is really cool. I really like the big saw blades at the very end of the level, and I think Lucid Nightmares has things going for it that is definitely in the positive. Maybe I'll go for it someday. I don't really know. I think it's decent. Maybe my opinion will change once I actually play it. Who knows? Number 56 is Sephiroth. It's just an overall decent mega collab, honestly. Doesn't really have any bad parts. It's just okay. I like it. I think it's fine. Number 45 is Calamity. I think this is an overall very solid level. No real negatives, honestly. I just wish it was a little bit less bare. It struggles with the whole 1.9 shtick, where it's kind of like, it's kind of just like boring, you know? But not like boring in a bad way, just boring in a I wish it did more because it has a lot of potential kind of way, right? Number 44 is Kappa. I think it has some really neat parts. It's nothing incredible. enjoyable. Overall, it's just a good level. It's just a very standard, okay level, you know? Number 43 is Gamma. It's, in my opinion, the worst of the Greek letters, but it's also the first one, so it makes sense. Meadowface's port looks dope, and I think I don't know, I like it. Despite being the worst of the Greek letters, I do think it's a decent level. Not something for me personally, like gameplay-wise, but this is visually speaking we're doing, and I think it looked cool. Number 42 is Promethean. I don't think this level is necessarily bad. I have shit talked this level quite a lot in the past. I think it has some really sick ambience. I think the last ship especially is like really sick, but I don't know why it exists, if I'm being 100% honest with you. Number 41 is Firework. Again, as I said with Calcor, I'm just not a huge fan of grayscale levels. This one does have some sick gameplay, which makes it satisfying to look at least, but it's the only really redeeming factor for me. I think some of the intensity in this would have been redeemed if it wasn't for the fact that it just doesn't have any color. If it just like flash color every now and then and had some color in the structuring, I think it would be sick, but for now I just think it's kind of boring. It's a decently good level. It's just it's kind of just there, you know? Number 40 is Chroma Finale. I think there's some decent effects. I can't really say it looks bad. It's just very plain. And especially after watching the other two Chromas, it's just, oh yeah, I've seen this before, you know? It's not bad. I just think it's uninspired. It's just, let's finish off the series and make 3 levels, right? That's the kind of vibe it gives me. Number 39 is Slaughterhouse. The decoration I couldn't really care less for. I've never been a huge fan of it. However, I do think the song and the intensity this level gives off is absolutely immaculate. I think it does a very good job at using the song to its advantage. And I think it's a very good top 1 in the sense of you look at it and you're like, yeah, that's the hardest shit ever. And I think that's a really big positive Slaughterhouse has going for it. Number 38 is a Visible Ray. Honestly, it's just the penultimate funny Korean mega collab. I don't really see what there's not to love. I think it's great. Number 37 is Sari Never Clear. I wanted to put this a little bit higher if I'm being 100% honest with you, but while objectively speaking, it's probably a really terrible level. It's also the funniest extreme demon in the game. How are you clear my map is always going to be like the funniest thing ever created in any level ever, especially rated, and I think Sari Never Clear is great for that reason. Looks bad, but I think it's good. I like it. Number 36 is the Yandere. A solid take overall on the red theming that isn't hell. I think it's a good level. There are some parts that are kind of yucky, but overall, I think it's a very solid level. Number 35 is Omega. Honestly, I think it looks pretty good. I have nothing else to say, really. This area's levels is kind of just like, oh, they're good levels, but I have nothing else to add. They're just levels that I think are cool, but I don't have any thoughts behind. They're just cool levels. It's just Sari Never Clear. I did have some things to say about that. Number 34 is Zodiac. This level is where, in my opinion, Samifying started developing himself as like a stellar creator, and it really does show. The rest of the level is decent too. I think it's a decent top 1. Overall, just a good level. Number 33 is The Rupture. This has like a weirdly consistent intensity that I really like. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just one of those levels that has grown on me a ton. I didn't like this when it came out. I do kind of like it now. Number 32 is Macabre. It looks fine for the most part. While a good level, it's also chronically Sephiroth, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it does feel like Penumbra harder. Yes, I know it is the sequel, but I still think that's a thing that does drag it down a little bit. Also, the beginning looks boring. Sorry. Number 31 is Sigma. This is just the most average good level to ever exist. It's just a good level, but it's a very average good level, you know? When you see a good level, but you don't really care about it, that's just Sigma for me. It's one of those levels that I look at and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. And then just never think about it ever again. Number 30 is Renovant. I will always find the funny FNAF songs funny, and I think it's a good successor to Allegiance. I just think it's a good level. Number 29 is True Effect. I think is just a solid level. Solid designs, really cool visual wave parts, like the wave spam, like watching that the first time I was like, holy shit, that's insane. And then watching it for the 50th time, I'm like, holy shit, that's insane. And now I'm just kind of like, holy shit, that's insane. I don't know. True Effect is cool. I like it. Number 28 is Sparkling. Nifty level. It's just very solid above average level in my opinion. I think it's good. It's yet another Sigma type beat where I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And then just forget about it, right? It's just a good level. Number 27 is Karis. I like Erebus. I think it is a cool upgrade to Erebus. The ship part at the drop with all the fuzzy shit is really cool. So I think it's just a solid level, honestly. I think it's just good. Number 26 is a Molten Core. And honestly, I just kind of like the colors in this one. It's just a nice surface level, so I don't really have anything to say about it. I just like the colors. I think it looks funky. You know, it's one of those. Number 25 is Hard Machine. It actually has some funky designs that I do unironically like. As much as of a funny level that Hard Machine is, I do like a lot of the designs on this, and I'm unapologetic about it. I just like it because it's funny, you know? I also do appreciate how Hard Machine kind of went unchanged for 7 years, besides like one tiny change, and it still remains top 10 to this day. I think that's really cool. I think it's admirable how something this crazy hard was made like a billion years ago and it's still in the top 10. I don't know, I like it. It's cool. Number 24 might come as a surprise to a lot of people, but it's Vasuretta. Honestly, as time has passed, this level has grown on me more and more. I can't explain it. It's just a level that I used to be like, I don't like Vasuretta. Vasuretta sucks. And now I'm like, hey, Vasuretta is kind of cool. Number 23 is Cold Sweat. It is revolutionary in its own way, I think, but I don't think it has aged as well as people say it has. The designs and the effects are kind of like basic. Like, we've gotten so many more interesting levels after Cold Sweat that were 100% inspired by Cold Sweat, but Cold Sweat as a level to me has just kind of like aged a little bit poorly. It's kind of like Super Mario 64 in a way where you appreciate it for what it is, but going back and rewatching it, I just kind of find it kind of underwhelming because it's not as good as I remember it being. Number 22 is Storming Summit. While I think it's a wonderful recreation of Celeste's art style, the reused assets from the actual Celeste game makes me not morally able to put it in the top 20. I think it's a cool level. I do like it. However, I'm also very much against using assets from other games or other places and using that as the premise to make a full-length level. Yes, I know that I love Halberd. Shut up. You don't have to tell me. Number 21 is Eternal Moment, and honestly, this is just a really solid level. I think it does a lot right. Couple boring parts here and there, but overall, I think it looks really cool. And at number 20, we have Cosmic Cyclone, and while I do still think it has the corporate vibe like Sonic Way Infinity does, I think this is way more masterfully done, and it creates its own identity despite being a fabricated feeling of it. It has its own like personality to it despite being the Sonic Wave successor, and I think it's a really cool level for that. I think it's really nice. It has some sick effects. Cool does kind of carry it though. Number 19 is Spectrum Cyclone. I just think it's a great level overall. Nothing else to say. I just think it's very good. Number 18, we have Omega Interface. And I think this is like just one of the most unique levels for me. This is another level that has truly grown on me as time has passed. The way the speed changes are used and the transitions between parts, it creates a really cool and ominous vibe. And I think it's very, very well made. Number 17 is Yatagarasu. I just think it's an overall amazing level. Heinz's part is still one of the best swing copters ever made. And visually, it is incredible. And Funny Games' part was absolutely revolutionary for a time. I think people forget about the fact that when Yatagarasu was made, there was no rotate trigger. So the fact that Funny Game made stuff rotate without a rotate trigger, really impressive, honestly. Number 16 is Verdant Landscape, and overall, I think this is a great level. I have nothing to add. I think it's just a very solid level. Number 15 is Bloodlust, and I think this is the best top one we've ever had. It furthers Bloodbath's legacy while still creating its own identity, and it does a really good job of just being quite intense, honestly. While it's kind of a pushover these days when it comes to like difficulty and stuff for a lot of people, I just still think it's just a fantastic level. Number 14 is Congregation. While a very controversial level, I think it has a super cool atmosphere and vibe throughout the entire thing. And Congregation, I think the selling point for it to me is how it uses Purgatory, the song, to create tension like no other level building up to the drop. Like from the beginning until the drop, it creates this like super cool and intense like build up that makes you like basically shit bricks, and I think is a very good job at doing that. It's a masterclass in atmosphere and tension, which I think is the reason why I like it as much as I do. Number 13 is Plasma Bull's Finale. Is just a very good design level. Peak Giron and Peak Smokes was absolutely sublime and one of the best creating duos we ever had. Number 12 is a surprise to myself as well. It's Sync. And honestly, I just think it's a very good level. However, unlike Calamity, which is much further down the list, I just think the real kicker here is the song. I think the Sync song is probably like my favorite song used in any rated GD level, and I really like it. I have nothing else to say. I just think it's cool. Number 11 is Cybernetic Crescent, and it's probably the best unthemed mega collab in the game. It's just very good overall. While I still personally prefer Artificial Ascent from like a personal bias, as a level, I think Cybernetic is just better. And coming into the number 10 spot is Shutdown. I feel like Shutdown is the natural progression of Glitter Shroom's style in modern day creating. Glitter Shroom style was my favorite back in the day, which is why I like it. I think it's very good, very clean, I really like it. I should beat it someday. Number 9 was a massive surprise to me. Like, I was looking through all these levels and I was just kind of like, huh, this level is awesome. It's Terminux. I was super surprised to see this here, but this level is honestly really good and very consistent in style. The parts look really nice and it has some really sick gimmicks, like the beginning where you're just kind of like go like the diagonal way with like this tiny 3-block gap or whatever, I think is really dope. I really like it. Number 8 is Atomic Cannon. I think it just works masterfully with the song. The use of desaturated rainbow is really cool, and it has some of the most satisfying click patterns ever created. I really like it. It's very cool. Number 7 is Goner. It's a great effect level with very cool feelings attached to it. I just think it's a great level. Number 6 is Lotus Flower, and there's something about this that makes me feel some type of way, and I love it. I don't really know what it makes me feel and how it makes me feel. It just does, and I think it looks fantastic. Number 5 is Ouroboros, and despite the fact that I hate the gameplay, evidently by the fact that I shit-talked the hell out of it in my video on it, Oro is undeniably one of the coolest looking mega collabs ever created. I think it looks fantastic. Loser Jig's part, Galvatron's part, Osiris, everything. Every part looks absolutely stellar. It is an amazing level, every sense of the word. Number 4 is Requiem. Killbot used to be my favorite extreme, and Requiem just takes Killbot and does it better. I don't think there's anything else I need to add to it. Requiem is just absolutely incredible. Number 3 is Frozen Cave. I still think the Avalanche part at around the 60s to 80s is the absolute best ship part ever created. I think it's incredible. It is perfectly themed, and it is such a fantastic song. I cannot listen to the song in Frozen Cave without thinking of winter anymore. That is how impactful that song and level is. It's so good. Number 2 is Rust. Nashview is just a master of everything that's clean and polished, and Rust is no different. Rust is just an incredibly well-crafted level. And number 1, to nobody's surprise, my favorite level of all time, Nelv. It is the best level that I've ever beaten. Nothing else comes close. I don't have to say anything else. Nelv is just a fantastic level. And that's about it. I didn't really go into detail about a lot of the things because obviously this level would be like 10 billion years long if I did. But anyway, I'll see you guys around. Eat your green, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Thank you for making my day. I hope yours a little bit better too. Yeah, no, this was a interesting video. Tell me what your list is. I would really like to see. But anyway, I'll see you guys around. Peace out, everyone.